Hello, welcome to another episode of the Star Wars Minute. It's your daily podcast in which we analyze, we scrutinize, and we celebrate the rise of Skywalker 1 minute at a time. I'm Alex Robinson from alexrobinson.fun.
I'm Pete the Retailer from PeteTheRetailer.com.
And it's me, Greg Wyshynski from ESPN, co-host of ESPN's hockey show The Drop. And if I'm on Star Wars Minute, you know what that means, ladies and gentlemen. Used to say people gonna die.
The Grim Reaper is back.
That's right, back. My sickle in hand, ready to see bloodshed a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
I think this is probably the latest we've had you on in a season, proving that the deaths always happen towards the end. But so
this is very late.
Yeah, you're past the 2 hour mark.
And I was surprised. I was trying to figure out. I obviously, like, you, not to pull the curtain back, but you guys send over the links, and I'm not even sure when I open them where we are in the movie at that point. And I kind of knew where I was going to be on the show, but at the same time, I was taken aback by how many deaths we're dealing with here. So it's going to be a good solid week of the loss of life in the Star Wars universe for those who celebrate.
I'm hoping for the hat trick. See what I did there? Hat trick.
Oh, you did a hockey thing. We should also tell the people that last time we did the show, I was in my home studio in Brooklyn. It looked great. I decided, wouldn't it be fun to have the single most drab background possible for this time? And I am in a hotel in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, as I'm working the National Hockey League preseason. And let me tell you, they've really mastered beige. They've done a great job figuring out beige, our friends at Marriott.
That's what they're, Pittsburgh, it's like steel and then beige. That's the number two. They're
beige is their biggest export.
Steel, beige, and rivers. The Ohio, the Monongahela.
Wasn't that a folk trio? Steel, beige, and rivers. All right, well, let's talk about minute 121, shall we?
121.
Minute 121 starts off with Rey using her power of the crossed sabers to push her grandpa's lightning back in his stupid wrinkled face. And it ends a minute later with Poe letting us know that he sees them and he's going to get them.
Mm-hmm. All right.
I guess our first death of the week right here.
Yeah. Kicking it off. He was our old friend Sheev was starting to disintegrate at the end of last week, and then boom, out he goes.
Dusted. Literally.
Couple things.
Sure.
Where do you guys stand on what exactly we're looking at here? I've seen some people say it's his body from the Death Star. I've seen people say it's a clone of Palpatine that's just all jacked up and he needs the life force of the dyad to make himself whole again. What are we looking at here? Have you guys decided formally what it is we're looking at here?
Well, using the background materials that are available to us, with the visual guide, I have the Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker Expanded Edition novelization by New York Times bestselling author Ray Carson. It seems that when his body went down the well, he had a moment and he was like, aha, and left his body and sent his spirit out into the nothingness, and then showed up on Exegol, where they were working on new clone bodies for him, and none of them this is like the best they could do so far. They've been really bad.
Right.
They've only had 30 years.
His soul left his body. It entered the molar of a space whale that could warp across the galaxy to Exegol. And then he left the molar of the whale and then entered his clone body. I was just curious because I never figured that part out. I never could figure out what I was looking at here. There's a lot I couldn't figure out in this movie.
They don't really tell you much.
Yeah.
So what I was saying before about massive death in these minutes happens right at the beginning of this minute, where it's not just clone Palpy biting it. courtesy of Rey and the Skywalker lightsabers. The shockwave of this moment dusts Palpy, and then dusts everyone in the arena watching this moment. The entirety of Exegol that is there, the Sith Eternal that are in the stands, paid good money for these tickets to see the show, and then little did they know they would be
Sith season
disintegrated.
tickets in their family for years, waiting for something like this.
Exactly.
And then boom.
Exactly. And you know, I mean, obviously, with the stakes at hand, there's obviously Sith Eternal there that have gone to StubHub. They've purchased their tickets on the secondary market. They're paying well above face to be there. And they get dusted too.
You know the Ticketmaster on Exegol charges like twice the 150% fee on there.
Palpy's not running on a platform of getting rid of service fees on Ticketmaster. I'll tell you that. He's like, pay
feet.
Surprisingly, that's how they funded the fleet, was all just like service fees, convenience fees on tickets to the Sith Arena.
So here's the thing about Exegol. I wrote an essay for the Puck Soup Podcast Patreon once about 5 things that I really liked about Rise of Skywalker. I was able to find 5. One of them is the concept of Exegol. I'm kind of obsessed with it. Who are these people? How did they get there? Where do they live? Does Exegol have condos? Do they have suburbs? Do they all live in that giant space cube with clone Palpatine on a stick? And all the Snokes in a jar? What do they do for fun? Do the Sith Eternal date? Are they cousins? Have they been there for a generation? Are there families? Are there children on Exegol? Are there Exegol playgrounds?
Baby
do the young kids, as young kids are wont to do, reject their parents' whacked out cult ideology and start dressing like Jedis to piss them off? Like, there's an entire ecosystem and sociology inherent to Exegol that is crying out for further exploration. And I say this because, as we all know, as Star Wars obsessive, and as you guys know, running this insane podcast for as long as you have, the lifeblood of Star Wars is taking a concept, the most minuscule concept that you can, and then exploring it to its most absurd degree. And Rise of Skywalker does not, and in fact, the entire sequel trilogy doesn't always give those opportunities. Like, Force Awakens did, Conja Club, that's fun. Right. We could have fun with that. But like some of the other movies didn't necessarily give us those opportunities. So when you have a concept as completely absurd as Exegol, it made me so happy as a Star That it exists. Because it truly is something where, like, 10 years from now, when the generation of kids that grew up with the sequels treat them like that other generation treats the prequels, there's going to be like Exegol fan fiction and people like being like, what was it like to live there? And that's going to make me so happy when that comes around.
Totally. I can see like a Marvel like ongoing series just set on Exegol. That would be awesome.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. So I guess at the end of the day, I weep for all the people that were destroyed in the shockwave of this moment, because like they're just there. I mean, they're cultists. They don't know any better. Yeah. They've been roped into this with Palpatine, and now they're just sitting there watching this whole thing unfold. And then lo and behold, they're now lint. They're space lint because of Rey.
Well, I wanted to know, watching it, I was like, do we think that they're being kind of destroyed, like wiped out by this force blast that she's used, which is like, it's like the totality of her friendship and happiness or something like that. They described it in a really corny way last week. But like are they getting wiped out by
your friendship?
It's like Mortal Kombat. Are they getting wiped out by the force blast, or are they getting just kind of crushed when the whole thing dissolves around them? And in the novelization, in the book, it does.
Which book are you talking about?
I mean, when I say the book, obviously I'm talking about the expanded edition, Star Wars Rise of Skywalker, novelization by New York Times bestselling author Ray Carson, who says, like collapsing stardust, like collapsing stardust, what remained of him coalesced into a single point, which then exploded with a massive shockwave that threw Rey to the ground. The Sith throne shattered, the ceiling bouldered down around her, crushing thousands of disciples in the amphitheater. So we think it is structural.
Nah, that's not the way it played out, man. Those
Doesn't
people
look that way.
Those people turned to dust based on the shockwave emanating from the combination of Rey's force power and Palpatine's implosion. It had nothing to do with the ceiling falling on them. They were gone before that. They had this sweet release of death before the ceiling fell, luckily.
Maybe they were just dusty and it was like blowing the dust off of them, like because they don't really clean over there. So they were all just like covered in dust and particles. And then it's like, oh, for a second they're like, oh, thank God I'm clean. And then they got crushed by, thank Sheev I'm clean. And then they got crushed by giant chunks of arena ceiling.
I assumed that it was somehow Palpatine was the thing that was keeping them alive. Like they were kind of generated by his, he's like, all the Sith are in me. Maybe this was kind of like an external depiction of all the Sith that are like their spirits that are inside of him.
All the Sith are in me, except for all these guys. They didn't fit, so I have them here. They're all seated kind of orderly fashion.
Yeah, someday they will sell enough. Well, they will get to be in the inside club.
Right.
It's like an MM.
Yes.
Multi-level marketing.
Absolutely.
Thing. Because we don't even know if they're humans or what. Like, we know they have some kind of orifice that makes singing noises. That's the only thing we know about them because we don't see them, their faces or anything. So, who knows?
So do you think
they can make noise?
Do you think that Palpatine created his death cult? Or is that your angle? Is it like when you buy Instagram followers, like he didn't have the support, so he just created them out of whole cloth to sit in the arena and cheer him on?
That's pretty evil.
That's very evil.
I forgot where did we find out a little bit more about that? I don't think it was in the book. I think it was in one of the something else where they were talking about how these people have been there for generations, kind of working on this project. Like back, in the Phantom Menace days, he was setting up. He was like, all right, I'm going to set up this other base over here where we're going to kind of when I need it, these guys are going to be ready and. It's kind of like a Scientology compound where they're like not allowed to see the outside world. They don't know what's going on. They're, and so I'm assuming that like you said, that they've been here. They have a whole society.
Generations.
They have, they have shopping. They have schools. They have
it's as simple
sitcoms.
as this. Somebody had to design, for example, these Star Destroyers. Like somebody on Exegol who was not Clone Palpatine said, we're going to make these and they're going to have sick red accent lighting.
Right.
like that's a individual choice that they've decided to make, is that what we're going to do is we're going to make sick accent lighting. We're going to make the stormtroopers red. I mean, maybe they involved Palpatine. Like maybe they bought him fabric samples and said, what do you think of this? And he's like, I asked for vermilion. Yeah,
I'm picturing like Sith Otho from Beetlejuice, where he's like going through and kind of like, spray painting on the walls. Like, no, this needs to be lilac.
Well, we saw in the prequels, he loves sumptuous robes and gowns and that kind of stuff. So I could totally see him being a fashion clothes horse.
That makes me think, like, did we talk about that then? Like, like 6 years ago or whatever, when we were talking about the Phantom Menace, did I say Sith Otho at that point?
I'm assuming every joke we made, we've said at least 4 times over the past 10 years.
Yeah.
So.
Kai, you love this podcast. You let me know if I said that before, all right?
The scene reminded me of I don't know if you guys, spoiler alert for anyone who's not seen Peter Jackson's Return of the King. Give you a second to pause in case. Go watch it and now you'll come back and hear it. The end of Return of the King, they throw the ring in the thing, and then conveniently all the orcs and everything who are fighting outside just fall into the ground literally just swallows up all the bad guys.
Yeah.
And the thing is over. It's the same thing with this. Like, we don't want to have to deal with all these extra troops and stuff. Let's just have them dissolve so we don't have to think about them anymore. Yeah.
I like that was the tagline for Return of the King was throw the ring in the thing, right? That was
throw the ring in the thing.
That was like
so you're positing that J.J. Abrams may have borrowed a trope from elsewhere for one of these films? This is a bold
I'm not
statement.
making any
you've made,
accusations. Could be parallel evolution. We don't know. It could just be a Pixar Ants thing where they just happen to come up with the same idea.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
A real Volcano Dante's Peak thing.
Right.
A total, those 2 asteroid movies that came out.
Right.
Yeah.
Asteroid. And how come none of them was asteroids like the video game? Was that not? I don't know.
Well, that was
we
before
still have
we
time for
really
that.
dove into video game IP as being
I
a
guess
valuable
so.
asset.
Yeah.
They didn't realize at the time.
Mhm.
So then I was going to move on to our second death.
Oh, sure. Well, not counting. I mean, our 15,002nd death.
It's a-
I don't count those guys as being technically alive. I think they
Okay.
were they were like ghosts, really. So they're
All
not, it's a wash in the life death column.
Sure.
But yes, the Star Destroyer is blowing up because Finn and Jannah managed to turn the gun around and start shooting it at the bridge, which of course destroys the entire Star Destroyer. And we see Colonel Pride running around and he gets blowed up real good.
Yeah. Yeah. Not to lean on it too heavily right off the bat, but this scene is a little bit expanded in the expanded edition, obviously, of Star Wars Episode 9, The Force Awakens by New York Times bestselling author Ray Carson. He gets a moment to like he meets up again with Admiral Griss and they're like, what's going on? And he has he basically has this realization, which I don't know exactly how you would, I don't know how you could portray this. I mean, not to take away from Richard E. Grant. He does a good job of portraying kind of, oh no. But there's they obviously in a novelization you can go a little bit deeper, and he has this whole realization and he's like, wait, I've devoted my whole life to serving the Emperor and bringing the Sith back, and now it might not happen. Like that's like one of his last thoughts before he dies, like, oh, it was all for nothing. And then he explodes.
And also, I was in Spice World. That's crazy.
That's it.
Yeah, I can
that was
see
that
that
look
happening.
where he looks out the window. He was like quantum leaping into Spice World.
That's where I
see
want
that
to be.
happening. Again, that's like one of the more fascinating concepts about this whole thing. It's like these are fanatics, and how do the fanatics feel about it's really what separates this collection of Sithies from the Empire and the First Order, which always seem kind of for hire, and it's like a gig economy versus being a cult, and so I can see that. I could see that playing out in his mind as he's getting blowed up real good.
Yeah.
I like that you can see people in the background climbing out of that, those pits they stay in. The Imperial Herd. You can see people climbing out of the top, which really does make me wonder what are the doors like locked, or can they just not or go out? I don't know. I wonder what the deal is with that. But
there was people falling in, and then there were people climbing out, and it just gave it that sense of real chaos.
Yeah.
So you mentioned Poe and Jannah. What are we going
Finn
with?
and Jannah?
Finn and Jannah.
Oh, did I
Finn and
say
Jannah,
Poe? Because I was about to mention Poe.
Mm-hmm.
What is his plan to save them from the Star Destroyer? The X-wing does not. It's not a minivan.
Yeah.
Were we gonna just have them climb on the X-wings and hold on for dear life? Like, what exactly is the plan of I'm faster than everyone. I'm gonna get there and save them. Have we determined this?
Yeah, he's gonna shoot something probably. I don't know. Like that's what he tends to do.
He was gonna get near them and then close the S-foils, the X-wings down and like clamp them, and each one would clamp. You know what I mean?
Pinch one.
Yeah,
like
they close the wings, so each one would hold one and then one. Yeah,
like a pair of tongs.
Yeah.
Okay,
like holding them up by the back collar of their jacket, each one,
or eject R2, and then he can find R2 can find his way back. I mean,
hey, you got rockets, get out of there.
There's only room for one of them. I mean, I know that Poe is a very impulsive guy, and he's just gonna go guns a-blazing, and he figures it out as he goes along.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that as plans go, a single occupant fighter trying to save two individuals from falling off the side of a Star Destroyer, I quite see the vision. That he
I think by this
sees.
time, everyone knows Poe is not a good leader and does not think things through. That's clearly the message of all of these.
Right.
You know, all of these. His
He's
ever
like,
since he took over, things have really gone downhill.
I'm going to go get him. Everybody's like, no, wait, whoa, hold on.
Right.
Yeah. So the other thing that's funny is that the command ship starts to tilt. And then Finn and Jannah, whoa, they start sliding down. I'm like, why didn't they just do that 45 minutes ago when the battle started? All you have to do is tip your ship a little bit and all the rebels go flying down onto Exegol.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway.
Well, I'm assuming that there was some sort of, I'll posit that there was some sort of artificial gravity that extended to the, just beyond the hull of the ship that was then taken out with when the con tower was taken out. Then everything else went out. The shields, the artificial gravity. That's my no prize answer for that. I don't know.
If they wanted to, they could have walked to the edge, went over the edge, and then walked upside down underneath because the
while
gravity
reading a
of the Star
newspaper
Destroyer.
because they didn't notice that the edge was there, and so they just walked right off and walked right on the outside.
They go to take something out of their pocket, it goes flying up, and they're like, "What?"
Right.
Anyway, so yes, they start to slide down the ship.
Speaking, Greg, you said you were, marveling at the chaos going on in the pit there, and I think we missed another opportunity for chaos. I want, Richard Lester Superman 2 style, as the ship tilts, you need the guy on roller skates going, whoa, 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 like you need somebody with carrying a Sith baker coming out with pies somehow. Yeah. You need
totally
exactly
everything you can to make this chaotic and fun.
And then Finn throws General Pride into the Coca-Cola sign in Times Square.
Exactly. Yeah,
that'd be great. Exactly.
I have a question about we see the pilot, the Abednego pilot.
Abednego, yeah.
And it says his name is Kai Thranali.
Yes.
Is that a Beastie Boys song?
It is not, because this is because Eloasti was destroyed in The Force Awakens, and then I think Rian Johnson. Not as much of a Beastie Boys fan.
After Journey songs.
Yeah, right.
It's a totally different band. I'm undermining your expectations.
So I don't think he cared, or I don't know if he named it or whatever. But I don't. So in between, we got one Abednego who's not named after.
Now I hate The Last Jedi even more than I did previously.
Boo.
Quick note about Kai Thranali, though.
Yes.
It's totally like a hopefully we won't notice, but oops, that guy died, so we have to give him a different name, even though it's basically the same thing. But his helmet is slightly different, and I'm assuming he was an AEW fan because on the side of his helmet in Orbesh it says Aubrey. So he's a big fan of the referees. Yeah.
Referee Aubrey Edwards. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah, and the horses. There should be horses sliding around on there too. That was the other thing.
Well, they all got
in
back
addition to all the crazy stuff. My last thing was horses.
I guess they had all fallen away by the time we catch up with Finn and Jannah. Yeah.
But a horse trying to run back up as it's sliding down.
Yeah.
Right.
And then you hold up a sign saying help. And then you go off the edge.
Room for comedy. Have their little legs be like Fred Flintstone's legs when he's about to power up his car.
The bongo sound.
Yep.
Well, that is all I have for minute number 121. You guys have anything else you want to get off your chest about this one?
War went out for the Sith Eternal.
That was out.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, also they're also evil, but I'm assuming that. Well, I guess it doesn't happen yet. But more people than Pride were killed when the bridge got shot too. So this, named deaths were up to 2. Well, unnamed deaths in the thousands.
Yeah. Well, that precedent was set during Return of the Jedi. We focused on Nanta and Roomba, but there are obviously tons of stormtroopers being killed at the time and so on. So, well, all right. Patreon. That's what we're doing these days, where we've been doing it for a while, but we're close to wrapping up our Ahsoka coverage. Pretty exciting things going on over there. I can't believe that character was on the show. That was crazy, right? So
it is absolutely wild.
StarWarsNet.com/Patreon. You can hear our thoughts on the Ahsoka show. And if you stick around, you'll be able to follow along with us as we read through the From Another Point of View anthology covering Return of the Jedi. Each story is from the point of view, it's the story of Return of the Jedi from the point of view of all the supporting characters. It's tons of fun, and we complain all the way, as usual. So go to StarWarsMinute.com/Patreon.
Don't there seems to be a clamor among the Patreon supporters that we should get back to our Rebels coverage. So maybe once this season's over, we'll go do some. Maybe we'll talk some Rebels over there on the Patreon also. So
wow, all right. Obviously, the story is situation is fluid. It's in progress now. We'll let you know the full details. But in any case, see you tomorrow on another Star Wars Minute.
Another Star Wars Minute.
Another Star Wars Minute.